Well, hello and welcome to Fun Fancy FPL. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Berry.
And as always, Stephen, we were talking off there about how your game week's gone. It's not gone well. And as always, you don't want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
we will cover a couple of the games. I know you're keen to get off and start watching the Arsenal game, which kicks off momentarily against PSG. But yeah, a short pod this week just because of we kind of concluded that a lot of the fixtures were and the results. I mean, there are no great surprises, Stephen. So, yeah, tell us about your game week and tell us if what your kind of view is on.
I've got my Nottingham Forest triple swoop to come, but it was just more the people who got points. Sessegnon getting a last minute goal is a joke. We were almost so close to Southampton being correct. I would have taken a draw for that one. He didn't deserve any points, Sessegnon, but there we go. He got a last minute goal as a defender, whatever. Cunha got a big return. So fair play to you for bringing him in all those weeks ago. I mean, I guess you had a free hit, so it didn't matter now anyway. Cunha, I'm not too
Yeah,
annoyed about. But yeah, it's not so much the fact that my team didn't score, which obviously doesn't help. It's just the fact, Trippier got a big haul when he fair enough. Actually, no, not fair enough if you called that. Um, God, yeah, the team is weird. Belabor, Chalobah at Chelsea, McAllister. McAllister was the best Liverpool point scorer. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
So no, I'll be honest with you, it's more that Sessegnon got a last minute goal to deprive Southampton of their precious 12 points. That's what really infuriated me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it was a bit of a weird game week in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, when Southampton scored, I was thinking, oh my god, are me and Stephen going to be correct about something?
Yeah.
And we were for 72 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the other fixtures were um, as billed, I suppose. The only real surprise for me was the Bournemouth Man United game.
Mm.
Bournemouth were off the boil, I'd say. And Man United actually managed to get something from that game, which was annoying for those of us at the bottom end of the table, to say the least. And yeah, but West Ham losing as well. That was.
Mm.
I think it was a 50-50, to be honest. I know that you were like you were not very kind about West Ham's chances in general. I think that's quite fair to say. But I think that Brighton haven't been amazing recently, and I do genuinely feel like they're on the beach now. Chelsea edging the 1-0. Cole Palmer not getting anything. Not
Mm.
sure really what that says about him and his performance. And there's been lots of talk about his positioning, whether he actually wants to play for the club anymore because
Oh wow.
he's got people around him who are he doesn't trust, doesn't have the same intensity. I kind of get the impression from Chelsea that if they didn't win the next couple of games, if they didn't make it top four, would the players be that bothered? I don't know. It just seems like you need to be putting Everton away a bit more than that, although they've been good. So yeah, no great surprises for me, I think. And well, Spurs scoring, but I did predict
Yeah.
4-1, so
There you
I
go.
was kind of half right.
I I think you're being a bit harsh. I guess a few things. I think one, you're being a bit harsh on Chelsea. You've said yourself that Everton are a good team under Moyes. They'd be sixth. They played okay. Actually, no, maybe I'm being harsh. I think they played well. I think they did what they needed to do. Everton have had better performances this season. They could have done a bit more. I think the key thing was that Sanchez's mistakes didn't cost Chelsea. I think that's really the key thing to take away, which is usually if you're a goalkeeper, and Sanchez in particular doesn't love an error, he loves a catastrophic error, which somehow leads to them just conceding five. This game, all his errors were covered one way or another. So that being said, Palmer was pretty absent. But again, Chelsea just looked more like a team who were like, okay, let's keep the ball, sort of grind out a 1-0. No, I think they look pretty solid. I think if Arsenal had done that at home, let's put it that way, I think people would be like, yeah, that's organised Arsenal, very solid. I think because it's Chelsea, I think people are being a bit harsh to them. So I still maintain, as I said last week, that Chelsea are going to do a lot better than people think. They have something to play for. It's
They have a
very, very
horrible
tight.
fixture run, though.
They
Horrible
do,
fixture run.
But again, maybe they're a team that's going to play better against the bigger teams, the West London vibe. You don't care about the smaller teams. Fulham's virus is spread across the spread across to them. Maybe I don't know.
Christ.
But no, so I think
Yeah.
they're going to do better. I think they're going to do better than the last few games. The only thing, that, especially, is Nottingham Forest have gone off the boil. So they were very bad against Man City in the FA Cup semi-final. So a lot to play for.
I don't know. I quite fancy Forest the next couple of game weeks. I think it's quite a nice transition into the future game weeks. I was looking at Forest's fixture run, and it's quite nice, really, if you think about it. I mean, they've got Brentford at home. Obviously, it's games on Thursday, but then they've got Palace away, Leicester at home, West Ham away, and Chelsea at home. I mean, you may have noticed, listeners and viewers, and obviously Stephen, maybe you haven't, I don't know, but the one fixture has started to appear. So obviously we had 5, 3, 4, 2, but I've never seen a one fixture rating, and the bottom 3 clubs are now rated as a 1, which I think is very harsh.
Ipswich is a 2. Ipswich is a strong, proud 2. Yep.
Up the Ipswich. My apologies, dear listeners. But yeah, Leicester and Southampton is a 1, which probably makes sense. I saw Tottenham as a 2 recently, which was hurtful to say the least, but not surprising. But yeah, I mean, I think Forest have got lots to play for, and they've got lots of very good, interesting players. Like Alanga's, in the top sort of 10 scoring midfielders, and he's a 5.4 million midfielder. And obviously, you've got people like Iwobi, Rogers, Murphy around that price as well. But I would say that Alanga would be kind of my pick for the rest of the season. To be honest, I think he looks good. And if you can get back to Chris Wood, because well, you're gonna need him. I think probably if they're gonna do anything the rest of the season.
Are you praising that on my triple
Aina.
Nottingham Forest?
I am, Stephen. I think you might have played a blinder because my team is not well set for the future game weeks. So yeah, going at the moment I've got 82 points, which on a free hit I'm pretty chuffed about.
That's really good.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got Mbeumo to play and Chris Wood. So I could, in theory, get to the 100-pointer, but yeah, I was a bit disappointed with Barnes not getting anything because I thought that was quite an interesting shout. Jacob Murphy got the points. Trippier at the back, Al Nouri. Sessegnon was third on my bench, which was annoying, but I started Trent. Trent got the 5-point, and then Cunha, as you mentioned, who's done bits, to be honest. But yeah, so in terms of next game week, I've got triple Palace at home to Forest, which I don't like. And I've got triple Man City at home to Wolves, which equally I don't like. Because I can see Wolves trying to do something there.
Why? Like, they beat Leicester 3-0. Leicester, come on. Right? Let's not lose our minds here.
No, but Man City will be thinking about other fixtures. They'll be thinking about the FA Cup final. They'll be trying to it's the game on the Friday night as well. That's the thing. I don't like the early kickoff. I don't like it. So yeah, I'm not really happy with how my team's set. But because I'm going to play the assistant manager in game week 36, I might just hold because I need the transfers. And anything can happen between then and now. We get loads of injuries and that. So, yeah, kind of disappointing end to the season for me. But the assistant manager should give me a bit of a bump up, to be honest.
I mean, the season hasn't finished yet. It was to state the obvious. I don't think that's a bad team. I agree with you that Forest do have the best running. I mean, technically Leicester have the best running, but even I'm struggling to come up with a rogue Leicester player for this week, especially as Jamie Vardy missed a penalty. Really bad penalty as well. It would have put him, I think, joint 14th Premier League goal scorers or something like that. I mean, it's very unfortunate. You know what other team has a very good run in? Tottenham Hotspur. They have a nice run in.
Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself, listeners and viewers. We are garbage.
It was pretty bad against Liverpool.
Nothing more.
I know Liverpool are very good and obviously
Nothing more.
deserve champions and all that sort of stuff, but but that was not good.
Yeah. I also hate to bring you this bad news, Stephen. I'm sure you've already seen it, but PSG have scored.
Unbelievable.
Dembele,
Unbelievable.
assisted by the Georgian chap, whose name I'm not going to try and butcher.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
my hopes of a 2-0 to the Arsenal have gone, which is nice. Nice. Well, at least my
Yeah,
hopes and dreams are crushed early. That's nice. Get
yeah,
really
yeah,
yeah. Let's get them out of the way nice and early, I'd say.
yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, back to FPL land. Let's think about the fixtures going forward. 4 more game weeks to go. There are some pretty decent games over the weekends. If you're from the neutrals perspective, you've got the East London derby with West Ham against Spurs. Chelsea against Liverpool, which is generally quite a feisty affair, and with Liverpool winning the title, getting a guard of honour at Chelsea, that's going to hurt Chelsea. But more importantly, will it mean they will take the foot off the gas? Man United away at Brentford. I mean, I can see that being a humbling, to be honest. But again, could Brentford have their flip flops on a little bit? Leicester Southampton. I mean, Jesus. We're always Operation Target Leicester or Southampton, but out of those two, who would you be targeting if you had to pick? Are we going back to Kyle Walker-Peters, or some unknown in Leicester's ranks?
Is that the King Power? Is that the King Power, right?
Yeah. Which means very little, to be honest, for these teams, because they both can't defend, they barely can score, but maybe they'll just cancel each other out and it'll be a 0-0 terrible game.
No, I mean, I guess you'd have to say that Southampton have more to play for because of the not wanting to equal Derby's record. But also, you've got to remember, why are they only on 11 points? It's because they are truly awful. I mean, Fulham, I know we're mocking them earlier, but they had 26 shots, I think, or something. So they were averaging a shot every 3 minutes. Now, not all of them were on target, of course, but still, that isn't good. I mean, I guess if you were to, I guess you have to go for Leicester having home advantage, I suppose. They won the championship last season pretty comfortably, so you'd say that they are the better team. So I guess you'd have to say Leicester. If you have got a free transfer, or you've got some free transfers, and you can do something.
Yeah.
I think for the love of the game, just bring Jamie Vardy in. Actually, I know I just said it. He missed the penalty, but just. I mean, if he's going to do anything, it's in that game. Maybe Buonanotte as well as a bit of a rogue one, but yeah, I don't like Vardy because he's a striker in the game, obviously, and therefore, and there's just quite good strikers available. You'd have to drop either a Kuna, an Isak, or whoever else you've got, so Chris Wood, for example. So if you can bring in Vardy without too much pain, then that is tempting. Otherwise, Buonanotte, but. I can't even get myself to say it. I just can't.
No.
They have been.
No, I mean, just looking at
terrible.
their team. I mean, Leicester's most expensive player is Jamie Vardy at 5.3 million. I mean, that says everything you need to know about that. I mean, it's just insane. Their top scoring defender is James Justin, who I do like. For the record, I do think he's a good player. 4.1 million. Though, I don't think I could see myself bringing any of those players in. I just don't. I don't. Yeah, it's going to be one of those games that no one's going to be paying attention to. So if you were feeling rogue and you were 10 points off your nearest league mini rival, maybe consider one of their players, because as you say, Stephen, their running is pretty good, and it could be a secret earner for you. But I'm by no means suggesting you should do that. A much more conservative manager, as those that know me quite well will tell you. So not for me. Not for me.
And even I'm not recommending it. If you really wanted to go out there, Rory Delap would actually be... Not Rory Delap, sorry. Liam Delap. He's a better option. He has Everton, Brentford, Leicester, and then West Ham. Oh, that was the other game I wanted. I think you skimmed over a little bit there. The way they lost that, though. I mean, the two goals from Brighton were pretty poor. It was pretty lazy from the whole team. Graham Potter obviously lost his head afterwards, and do you know what? Fair enough. I'm sure he's very infuriated. But is it not target West Ham as well? In particular, because they can't defend.
Well, they've got their FA Cup final coming up, which is against when they play Tottenham.
Yep.
So no doubt they'll show up for that, and then but that's a game, 16th versus 17th, lot riding on it.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then they've got Man United afterwards, so it's a big couple of weeks for West Ham players and for the club. But yeah, I can't bring myself to bring in a Tottenham player. They already hurt me most weekends anyway, so I'm much more focused on Leyton Orient right now, who are in with a chance of making the playoffs, Stephen. Very, very close. But yeah, look, West Ham, I would target for sure. But the next couple of teams they play, they've got us, obviously, like I said, who I wouldn't buy any players from, and then Man United, which you're probably not buying any players for. Your triple Forest will come in handy, second to last game of the season, and then you've got the Liam Delap special at home, who will definitely bang against West Ham because they probably would be, just hoping for the season to be over. So. Yes, Operation Target West Ham, but I don't see any opportunities over the next couple of weeks to do so. Is the short of it, really.
Okay.
But Fulham, we should talk about them a little bit. I mean, they nearly came through for your prediction, and I've had a few people message me say, "Why is Stephen right about Fulham?" And I don't know, Stephen. I'm sure we've got our own theories here, but they managed to do it. They managed to do the job. Managed to get the win. Against Southampton, which isn't really saying a great deal. They've got Villa next, then they've got Everton at home, and then Brentford away. So it's a bit of a weird fixture run, to be honest. They're playing teams that, well, apart from Villa, that haven't really got a crazy amount to play for. Would you be thinking about bringing any of the players in? Do you think it's worth doing it for the last couple of games this season? Or if you've got a Wobie, it's keep a Wobie, but it's not really, you're not looking at investing.
But hasn't Wobie just done nothing though? Like he's hardly returned at all.
He got an assist. He got an assist this week.
Okay.
He's kind of ticked along. That's the thing. Wobie, because he had a couple of massive hauls that really put him. He had a couple of 15-pointers earlier on in the season, and then recently against Liverpool, he got a 13-pointer. But yeah, I mean, so in the last 5 game weeks, he's returned 3 times. It's not bad for a 5.5. You got to say that.
Okay, so I'd say Villa, I actually give them a good chance. Villa were very bad against Crystal Palace in the semi-final. Very, very poor. That game will have meant as much to Villa as... I know they're in the Champions League, but they obviously know the FA Cup is a very realistic trophy for them. And they were just very, very bad. So I'm taking that as they've run out of steam. Champions League is probably off the cards for them.
I love the way you just carpet bomb teams. Like, do you know what? I've seen this one thing, and now all of it is the case, and these are the conclusions.
I wouldn't say that. It's also the fact that they've, it was that. Yes, okay. I'm taking a lot of that one game, but it's also it is like it's true though. You're got to run out of steam at some point. And they're not going to get Champions League. Well, they could, but it's probably unlikely now. They've already known that they're not going to be able to beat out all of Newcastle, City, Chelsea, and Forest. So I'm not backing them. And Fulham would love to win that game because if they beat them, they go 3 points behind them. So, and away to Villa is exactly the game that they would sort of play well in. Actually, if anything, Fulham's run-in is perfect for them. At home to Everton, away to Everton, sorry, who've turned it around. No, sorry, they're at home or away to... Sorry, they're at home to Everton, sorry. Away at Brentford, they're West London, Hounslow, bus-stop rivals. And then, home against Man City, 5-0 Fulham written all over it. So, yeah, I quite like... I mean, I guess who would you bring in, though? I don't really like... Jimenez doesn't seem that interesting. Sessegnon, to be fair... Yeah. I know I was being infuriated over that he got a goal, but you said he's a defender. Fair play to you, you called it. He's a defender playing midfield, so why not?
He's playing in the front three, mate. But I mean, the threat to him not playing was that Harry Wilson and Traore were fit, but he can play in a wing back position and then be that extra player on the overlap, and then they stick as a back three. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to have someone like that. The problem that I have with the problem I have is I'm believing you about Fulham as a narrative, number one. But number two, like we have seen it every season, right? Every season it gets to this point where they are mathematically safe and Europe is looking a bit too far away. and they might have a couple of glorious performances between now and the end of the season. So yeah, I'm of the opinion if you have, you hold, but you're not investing at this stage in the season. I would say, yeah. So yeah, that would be my view on that. Sort of similar team bracket I'd put these guys in, but Brentford and Brighton, we can quickly cover those for the rest of the season. I mean, obviously if you had Mbeumo, you've stuck with him all season, and he's definitely paid dividends. They have a nice-ish run-in after the Forest game. They've got Man United at home, Ipswich away, Fulham at home, and Wolves away. I mean, again, is it a similar story, or would you be more comfortable investing in Brentford?
I disagree with you that they're in the same category. I think Brentford have an unbelievable run in. Man U, Ipswich, Fulham, Wolves. That's a relegated team. The team that Wolves are actually so Wolves on 17th anymore. Spurs are 17th. Sorry, but I always think of Wolves as 17th. But Spurs have really worked hard to wrestle that position.
Wolves are 13th, mate. 13th.
They're 13th now. Wow, fair play. Still, that's a very good run in for Brentford. My actually must have is Mbeumo. Of course, someone I'm now just never going to own for the rest of the season. My middle transfer I raged in because I was so sick of Anthony Gordon is actually Jared Bowen, somebody who I called out as a rogue shout all those weeks ago. Didn't bring him in. He's gotten lots of returns, even though West Ham have been dreadful. So, great. So eventually,
he was going to be your rogue shout.
No, Bowen was my rogue shout a few game weeks ago, and I didn't bring him in.
Yeah.
And now here we are. I might as well complete the set. My rogue shout is actually Dominic Solanke. So Spurs score. He's got a good run. So Mbeumo is my banker. Bowen is mid. I think he's gone up to mid now, given that he's been returning pretty consistently now, Jared Bowen, and then Dominic Solanke as the rogue. But no, Brighton's run in is horrible. They don't have a lot to play for because I don't think they can really get anything. I think they know that as well. They're very inconsistent. They cannot defend. They've been really shaky at the back all season. You can just see that permeating through the team. There's a lack. I wouldn't say lack of confidence, but it's a bit harsh. But you can just see that they know they're going to concede at any moment, and it does touch them at times. But as Brentford, I think, have a good run in. They under Frank,
but if you look at Brentford,
always play well.
Well, Brentford have got 46 points, right? They even if they won all of their games, so they've got we've got 4 games left. Okay, so that would take them to quick maths, Harry, 62 points, right? The top 6 finish at 60, so they literally I know there might be talk about 7th, maybe even 8th, getting a European place as well, and in some addition. Obviously, you can get 7th as well, but you got Villa that are there; they'll do better in that time period. I just think that Brentford, Brighton, and Fulham, and maybe even Bournemouth and Palace could be considered in a similar category, and that is kind of okay and fine. Might just make Europe, and it's kind of best of the rest kind of vibe. I mean. Are there any of the players in those teams that you would trust? Because I'm not sure I would. I mean, that's why I'm happy to have free Palace.
I remember as the only one. I wouldn't do Palace because Palace literally now will be focused. The thing is, I think there's being on the beach and there's being on the beach. So Palace and Arsenal were really on the beach because they had something else to focus on, essentially. And that's why the Palace Arsenal game, there was no intensity in that game. Every player was like, I just do not want to get injured. But they ended up playing with a lot of freedom. So sometimes on the beach can actually just mean if you've got a beach team against another beach team, let's say Brentford and Brighton play each other, I think they do. The game can actually just be you play with a bit of freedom and you can score basically. So I think beach attackers could be quite interesting, for example. So I still think Mbeumo is up there. You said yourself that you think Brentford could humble Man U. I think teams are always interested in doing that, no matter what the situation is. So. No, I like Brentford players, especially when he's really shown this season what a great player he is. How old is he actually? He's a bit old. He's older than you think, isn't he?
No idea.
I just think he
27. I thought
25. That's not old enough. That's not too old enough. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But that's not old enough to deprive him of a move to somebody pretty good. So let's see.
Yeah, I was wondering whether if Frank goes in the summer, whether he goes. That would be my theory. Because
You type in Brian Mbeumo, first thing that comes up is guess which club he's linked with.
Liverpool, Man United.
There you go. So his promising career is over already. Never mind.
I think it's just an interesting position to have, and I think all FPL players need to kind of consider that because, as I said, I've got 3 Palace players. I'm not happy about it because they've got something else to play for. I just don't think they're going to try as hard in the Premier League. They obviously will want to win games. They want to get their best finish, blah, 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 all the rest of it before any fans come at me. But, realistically, if you've kind of got everything settled and there's a very, very outside chance of you making Europe and you might be in another cup competition, you're focusing on the cup competition. And yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent. Like there could be some games which are really open. You can get some really exciting free frees, but they could be really random players that are making late runs and scoring. And I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to keep Mateta. I'm happy to keep Sarr. But if I had another wild card, I think I would be changing about 80 to 90% of my team. I would be getting rid of lots of people. So yeah, but cool. Well, you've put on a few things there. You've thrown out that your rogue shout is Dominic Solanke, which is still blowing my mind. 7.3 million with only 100 points to his name this season. In fact, he has 4 points more than Kai Havertz, who I believe to be a donkey. So, what was your banker, Stephen?
My banker is Mbeumo at Brentford, and my middling is Jared Bowen.
Cool. Nice to see that Jared Bowen is being promoted from rogue to middling.
He's returned. I think he's returned every single week since I said it. I think.
Yeah. Well, it's the classic Stephen Berry move, really, which is you say go and get someone, you don't do it, and then that player does really well. Exactly. Cool. So my banker for the week was actually going to be Morgan Gibbs-White. And I think the reason why is because, he hasn't had a great deal of returns recently, but he's playing 90 minutes in a team that have lots to play for, which we talked about a bit in the kind of the overall part of this podcast. And also, he can score goals. He gets lots of assists. He's definitely central to everything that Forest do, and I think he's class. I just think he's he really is a cut above, and he's the reason why they are where they are. I'd say my middling is Johan Wissa, so I'm going against a little bit what I'd said before about mid-table teams. But again, much like we discussed with Mbeumo, I think there is a chance that if Frank was to depart, I think a lot of that team could get gutted, and I think. Wissa would be a great player for teams looking for strikers, and as we've covered before, there are plenty of those. And he's got a nice fixture running. And then my rogue shout, Stephen. I owned him for a long time this season. He went away with an injury. They were talking about him not returning, but I hear he has returned to the Man United training pitch, and that is Amad Diallo.
Oh, okay.
He is currently listed at 50%, but Amarin said he was looking like he could get a start in the next week or two. And,
start in what competition?
Well, yes. I was going to put all of these caveats in there, but West Ham also, he's got those in 2 weeks' time. So obviously not for the Brentford game, but for the West Ham game, if he's fit then, and Man United might already be out, or they might already be home and dry in the competition. They might be already humbled by Bilbao. So I think there's a good chance he would start against West Ham, and then Chelsea and Aston Villa, which aren't great fixtures, but as we discussed, Chelsea are leaky at the back, and he is perfect for the counter attack in those games. Same with Villa as well. I think he could get a return or two in there, and he's a great little player. He's 5 million. So if you didn't like the fact you got Iwobi still, could be a good option. So yeah, that would be my choice.
Yeah, I mean that's my shout from the start of the season. Unfortunately, Ten Hag is an idiot. But yeah, no, I mean. I just can't see him playing any Premier League minutes other than like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, to get some minutes back in his legs before going into Europa. But, maybe that's one to watch, I suppose.
Sure. Okay, cool. Well, I think that concludes everything for this week. Whatever happens in the next couple of weeks, I think it's important to remember some of the stuff we were talking about with regards to where other teams are playing and, things like that. I mean, and let's also just have a couple of, crazy shouts with it, because I think towards the end of the season, most of your mini leagues become set. So you might as well throw in some rogue shouts and all the rest of it. So, Stephen, any other rogue shouts you thought about for the rest of the season? Any teams?
No, but just I like that. I guess one thing to perhaps encourage some rogueness is if you are making transfers, the risk has actually gone down. So if you're, say, 50 points off somebody, you're not going to catch them up over 4 weeks. So you might as well go for it. Also, if it does go wrong, it's only 3 weeks left. Whereas if you get somebody wrong at the start, they can be a tombstone around your neck for a while. So, and as mentioned, guys, it's fun. You will remember if you bring in Cisco and bench him when he gets 13 points. You'll remember. So go on, guys. Have a bit of fun. I'm sure there's loads of rogue shouts there that we haven't talked about. Go out and find them. Show us how to do it.
Yes, exactly right. What a great way to end the pod. Well, thanks for listening. Please give us a like and subscribe on the various channels. I hope you've been enjoying some of the clips we've been putting out. Please also join me in thanking Rita for trying to put this rabble of a podcast together. And we will see you next week. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.